The 2026 regular season is almost here. Before that, though, we have to get through training camp.
Scotty Miller's on the bubble. If they keep 6 receivers, I think he's got a good chance of making the team. But they could just keep 5, and if that's the case, he could be the odd man out.
So today, we're going to look at 10 guys who likely will get cut before the regular season begins and why they're on the cut bubble right now. Aiden O'Connell, quarterback, Las Vegas Raiders. The Raiders reloaded their quarterback room during the 2026 offseason with the signing of Kirk Cousins and the drafting of Fernando Mendoza first overall in the 2026 NFL Draft. However, the team still has backup quarterback Aiden O'Connell on the roster. Although O'Connell has played alright when on the field, he now has to fight for a third-string spot on the roster, having now to really compete against undrafted free agent quarterback Jacob Clark, who was signed to the roster. New head coach Clint Kubiak and offensive coordinator Andrew Janocko will implement a new system that'll probably benefit Cousins and/or Mendoza's playing style, which leaves O'Connell's future with the silver and black very unclear. O'Connell is an expendable asset at this point, and will likely get released before the 2026 season starts. Or maybe he'll get traded during the season before the trade deadline in November. O'Connell has expressed that he's going to seek the opportunity to either start or be a backup, which is unlikely in a reloaded quarterback room in Las Vegas. Scotty Miller, wide receiver, Chicago Bears. Although Miller signed a 1-year deal with the Bears during the offseason, he's still on the cutting table due to a highly competitive wide receiver room, as most NFL rosters try to have 5 or 6 receivers on active rosters. Ever since Miller's breakout season with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, where he had 501 receiving yards, scored 3 touchdowns, and helped the team win Super Bowl 55, his production has kind of fallen off a cliff, as he topped 131 receiving yards with the Pittsburgh Steelers in his 2 seasons with the team. Miller did have a solid minicamp, as he performed well with the speed and made deep touchdown catches, but that may not be enough for Miller, as guys like Rome Odunze and Luther Burden III are absolute locks, while the Bears may favor developing younger talent here. At the same time, the Bears could keep Miller and utilize him on special teams as a punt and kick returner. If Miller does get cut by the Bears, he could return to either the Buccaneers, the Steelers, or the Atlanta Falcons, as he provides each of those teams with a veteran presence at the wide receiver position. Jaylon Jones, cornerback, Chicago Bears. Staying with the Bears, another name that is likely to get cut is Jaylon Jones, due to new additions in the secondary and the lingering injuries that the unit dealt with in the 2025 season. Jones signed a 1-year deal to return to the Bears, but is primarily used in special teams rather than as a primary starter in the secondary. Cornerbacks Jaylon Johnson, Kyler Gordon, and Tyreek Stevenson are solid locks in the Bears secondary, while Jones has to compete against Josh Blackwell, Zoff Frazier, and Terrell Smith for the final spot on the 53-man roster. Jones' fate on the roster will all depend on how he performs on special teams and in the secondary during the preseason. If Jones is cut from the roster, teams like the New England Patriots or Arizona Cardinals would be suitors for him, as they could always use some extra talent on their respective special teams. Kristian Fulton, cornerback, Kansas City Chiefs. Fulton signed a 2-year, $20 million deal with the Chiefs back in the 2025 offseason, but struggled in the secondary during said season, as he played in 8 games and only had 16 tackles. Fulton had missed time with knee and ankle injuries during his first season with the Chiefs and spent time as a healthy scratch from games during the 2025 season. Fulton carries a cap hit of $13 million for 2026, and if he were to get cut now, the Chiefs would take on $8 million in dead money while saving $5 million against the cap. The Chiefs rebuilt their secondary during the 2026 offseason, signing guys like Kader Kohu, Olohai Gilman, Kyer Elam, and L'Jarius Sneed to their roster. Fulton's fate will be decided likely sometime between training camp and after the preseason, as he's currently projected to be behind Mansour Delane, Sneed, and Noel Williams in the lineup, making him the odd man out. So with Sneed back on the roster, that further pushes Fulton out. If he is released, the Minnesota Vikings would be a good team to sign him, as they really need a new quarterback in their secondary, and he would be able to reunite with his former college teammate Justin Jefferson. Cameron Johnson, wide receiver, Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Johnson is at risk of being cut due to intense competition in the Buccaneers wide receiver room, which already has Chris Godwin and Emeka Egbuka locked in. Not to mention, Tez Johnson is looking to prove himself. While Cameron Johnson has been reliable on special teams, he has struggled in offensive playing time, as he caught 4 receptions for 64 yards and scored only 1 touchdown in 2025. Johnson faces competition from Kadarius Callaway, Dean Patterson, Eric Rivers, and Ted Hurst. Johnson also faces competition in special teams from guys like Kenneth Gainwell, who signed with the team this offseason, and Sean Tucker, as well as rookie Keontae Scott. If Johnson can't stave off the immense competition before the start of the regular season, well, he's likely going to be cut before the Bucs finalize their 53-man roster. If Johnson ends up getting cut, teams like the Buffalo Bills or New Orleans Saints would be prime candidates to sign him. Marquez Valdes-Scantling, wide receiver, Dallas Cowboys. Valdes-Scantling finds himself at risk of being cut before the start of the 2026 season, even though he signed a one-year deal with the Cowboys. Ever since he helped the Kansas City Chiefs win Super Bowl 58, he's been bouncing around the league with brief stints with the Buffalo Bills, New Orleans Saints, San Francisco 49ers, and Pittsburgh Steelers. Valdes-Scantling is on a Cowboys team with a crowded wide receiver room that consists of CeeDee Lamb and George Pickens, who are obvious final roster locks, along with Kevontae Turpin and rookies Anthony Smith and Jordan Hudson. Valdes-Scantling has a lack of special teams experience, and his on-field production has really declined in recent years. During the 2025 season, Valdes-Scantling caught a total of 14 receptions for 120 yards and scored 1 touchdown during both of his stints with the 49ers and Steelers. On top of that, Valdes-Scantling is currently 31 and will be 32 by the conclusion of the season, which is typically old for wide receivers in the league. If the Cowboys do release Valdes-Scantling, then the Steelers, Seattle Seahawks, or Saints could sign him, as he has familiarity with 2 out of the 3 teams there and brings a good veteran presence to the respective lineups. Will he be able to turn back the clock and impress us during training camp in the preseason? Well, let's just hope that he does. Asim Richards, offensive tackle, New Orleans Saints. Richards may be a strong contender to make a backup spot on the Saints offensive line. He's viewed as a versatile depth piece rather than a starter. Richards does provide versatility as a swing tackle and guard. However, he has been very erratic in games when he filled in for Talisa Fuaga in the 2025 season. Richards struggled in pass blocking, making it hard to trust him as a swing tackle or guard for the upcoming season, thus making him a liability on the roster. Richards also had 2 false start penalties and a holding penalty called against him during the 2025 season per Pro Football Focus. If Richards were to get cut by the Saints, he would likely be a practice squad member who would be called up to the regular roster on teams like the Tennessee Titans, Dallas Cowboys, Washington Commanders, and New York Giants. Caleb Johnson, running back, Pittsburgh Steelers. Second-year running back Caleb Johnson finds himself within cut territory after an incredibly disappointing 2025 rookie season, where he rushed for 69 yards on 28 attempts, caught 1 reception for 9 yards, and didn't score a single touchdown in the 10 games that he played in. Johnson now finds himself fighting for a roster spot for the Steelers' final 53-man roster, as he's currently the 3rd string behind Rico Dowdle and Jalen Warren. Johnson faces immense competition from guys like Travis Homer, Lou Nichols III, and rookie Eli Heidenreich. Johnson doesn't really contribute on special teams, as he lacks experience as a returner, which puts him at a complete disadvantage against Homer, who has special teams experience. Head coach Mike McCarthy offered Johnson a clean slate, as he showed flashes of improvement during OTAs, but he still needs to perform well in training camp and in the preseason. If Johnson ends up getting cut, a team that would sign him could be the Dallas Cowboys, as they need young, cost-effective players on rookie deals to join their backfield. Roschon Johnson, running back, Chicago Bears. Roschon Johnson finds himself inside the cut bubble due to nagging injuries and intense competition from DeAndre Swift and Kyle Monangai. In the 2025 season, Johnson played in 7 games for the Bears, rushing for 17 yards on 2 carries, and he dealt with a thumb injury that cut a season short. Johnson now finds himself competing for the 3rd string role at running back against Salvin Ahmed and Britton Brown, who both saw more action in 2025 and outplayed him. Because of his absence in 2025, his usage has dwindled, making him a liability for the Bears in 2026. The only remaining path Johnson has, if he wants to make the Bears' final roster, is to potentially move to special teams, as he can be an ace in special teams if he were to stay healthy. If Johnson can't stay healthy, well, he can potentially kiss a spot on that roster goodbye. Javontae Jean-Baptiste, edge, Washington Commanders. Jean-Baptiste finds himself in the cut bubble due to the Commanders making a roster overhaul and not playing in 2025 due to a torn pectoral muscle. The Commanders also signed edge rushers Andre Carter II, Caleb Oncheson, Charles Omenihu, and Odafe Owe during the 2026 offseason, making competition far more intense for Jean-Baptiste. Not to mention, Jean-Baptiste has to compete with Dorrance Armstrong, who's returning from a knee injury, and rookie Joshua Josephs. Jean-Baptiste also has limited special teams experience, making it difficult to justify keeping him on the roster. Plus, his stats from his 2 seasons with the Commanders has not been great, as he only has 19 tackles and 2 sacks so far in his career. If Jean-Baptiste is cut by the Commanders before before the start of the 2026 season, edge rusher needy teams like the Denver Broncos, Atlanta Falcons, or Arizona Cardinals would love to bring him in, as they really benefit from cheap upside players. No matter what happens here, Jean-Baptiste must lock in and produce during training camp in the preseason in order for him to earn that coveted roster spot for 2026. But what other players are in the cut bubble right now? And why do you think they're going to be cut? Were there any notable names that we should have included on our list? Let us know in the comment section below. If you like this video and learned a thing or two, then hey, clicking the like button helps us out a ton. And you know, we really appreciate it. If this is your first time coming around to TPS though, then subscribing is a great idea, because we put out videos like this every single day. But as always, thanks for watching, and we'll see you guys next time.